Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Welcome to lesson 2 of web development. Today we are going to continue with HTML, so without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I just opened up Sublime here to the HTML file that we did last time. This is exactly what we did last time, and we stopped at attributes. We stopped with the Href attribute and the style attribute with a few properties. So I also have here opened the page we created so we can refresh it and see our result, and this is the folder we have the files in. So let's talk a bit about attributes, because this is an important part of HTML, and this is something that you will use mostly to create your page. Actually, most of the elements are in CSS for your design, and there is where you will spend most of the times, and in order to implement it you'll need attributes. So getting back to attributes, the attributes that you will use the most, this is what we are going to discuss today. We're not going to discuss every attribute because some you will never even use, and it takes a lot of time to cover every attribute. So starting with an important attribute is the lang attribute. This is an attribute that they put here in the HTML tag, and this specifies the language that your page is actually in. So for instance, you put English and then you put the dialect US. Now you can put also UK, but English United States. This we're gonna use. Okay, so now let's talk about other attributes, because the lang attribute, this is basically all that you need to specify the language, and this is basically used when you have a page that actually can be translated. Now another important attribute is the title attribute. Now it's not about the title tag. The title tag is something different. This is the title tag that specifies the title over here. But the title attribute, for instance, if we put it over to a paragraph, so I'm going to put title, and here we're going to specify this is my first paragraph, so this is the title of the paragraph. Now if I refresh the page, press F5, now you can see the paragraph is the same, but if I hover my cursor over it, you can see this box right here that says the title of the paragraph. So this is actually what the title paragraph does. And I'm going to just go a little quicker through these attributes because that's not really anything to explain to it. I mean, it's a title attribute. This is what it does. It just shows you this little tag when you hover the cursor over it, and it shows you the title, and this can actually be quite useful. Now another important attribute that you will use quite a lot is again the Href attribute. This is the attribute that you generally use in order to add a link. So again, you can put it over here, and if I click on it, I'm actually going to do a middle click. I'm going to press on my scroll wheel, so I open it in a new tag, but this is what it opens. If I click on it with my left button of the cursor, it takes me straight to the link by redirecting it. So this is basically what the Href attribute does, but keep in mind you cannot put the Href attribute for anything else than the A tag. So when you want to put a link, you put A. You can't put Href, let's say, in this heading, so you can put here the link. Now you can put it even to a document that you have inside. So for instance, if you want to make a button that redirects you, let's say, to the home page of your website, you can do that by using Href. So yeah, you cannot use it into straight into the tag. You need to put this A tag. So for instance, if I want to put a link into my paragraph, this is a paragraph, and it has a and I'm gonna put here the a tag, put an href to, let's say also Google. Okay, and I'm gonna put the link, and then you put your link. So this is a link, and then I'm gonna close the tag. So you can see now I have added a tag. So this is basically what the user is going to see marked and highlighted in blue with that underline that you usually see on links, let's say on Wikipedia, and this is actually where it takes you to. So now if I'm going to do again a refresh of the page, this is a paragraph and it has a link, and now if I click that link again, I'm going to click with the scroll lock, it's going to take you where I told it to. So let's get to the next attribute, and that actually is connected to images. So we'll have to insert an image to show you the next important attribute in HTML. The next important attributes, because there are, I think, 3 attributes that I'm going to try to discuss today that are connected to images, and they are quite important because they are those you will use the most. I mean, image is just an example. You can use them to different stuff as well. So if I'm gonna put image and you put the source, I'm gonna actually put I'm gonna go a bit into the properties to get this folder. Okay, so you put the source. I'm gonna put the folder right here. So you want to put the path to your image, then you want to put a slash. I'm gonna go ahead and search for an image and be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I added a picture. It's a wallpaper that I found in my pictures folder, and it's called wallpaper, and it has a JPEG tag. So I'm gonna go to properties, and you can see it's the extension actually is .jpg. So we're gonna put here wallpaper . So I'm gonna put the file in. Now the attribute. So this is an important attribute right here. The source attribute is the attribute that tells you the source for images and files that you might want to display. Now you can do this and put it into a paragraph, but we're not going to do that. I'm just going to put a straight image. You can put it just like we put this link over here. This link can go just as well right here. Okay, so if I put href, and I'm gonna leave it blank actually, and I'm gonna put link, and I'm gonna close this one. Now this one doesn't close because I didn't close this image one, but let's just close that. So actually, oh yeah, and actually the image tag doesn't need to be closed. The image tag is basically just like this because it doesn't have actually contents like links. So if I refresh, you can see the link right here, and if I click on it, it does nothing because it's blank. But getting back to our image and what attributes I wanted to discuss about, and that actually are best to be shown with an image, there is the alt tag. So the alt, what it does is that it puts an alternate text, for instance. Okay, so this actually puts an alternate text in case the file is not found. So we have the file over here, but it didn't find the file, and it shows the alternate text. And actually, I don't know why it doesn't. Maybe I just misspelled something. It's just gonna copy that name, and I'm gonna try again. Okay, so I can't really figure out why it doesn't want to show, but the image is here, and I think it has a little problem. So I'm going to put another image and just call it wallpaper, and be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and I just put another image over here, and it actually shows up in, when I open it, it's a wallpaper that I found, I think, on the Microsoft website, but now it's displayed. And also, one more thing I forgot to mention about the source attribute is that if your image file is in the same folder as your HTML file, you don't need to put the full path, with the C drive and everything. So you can just put the name of the file and it should be fine. So as you can see, it just shows up. So now let's discuss the next two attributes that I wanted to show you, and that actually they're connected to each other because they are the height and width. So the height and width attributes define the height and the width of your image. So I do it 200 by 300, and now if I press F5 again, you can see it has been resized. Now what if I put 400 by 600? You can see it's bigger, it's double in size. So actually this is exactly what it does. But what if I put in a way the height and width that I alter the aspect ratio? Well, what's going to happen is that it's going to stretch and compress the image. So if I put the height even larger than that, so I'm going to put it, let's say 800, so you can see better the way it stretches the image. You can see that the whole image is being stretched, so it won't leave a blank space just by putting it a blank space where the image should have been. It just stretches the whole image. So it is important that when you actually scale the image down, is look at its resolution and make sure it is in the right spot by making the calculation. So if the image has a resolution of 1920 by 1080, and I go into the calculator really quick. So for instance, I have the 1920 resolution. So if I go and put 1920 divided by 300, so that's the width, you can see 6.4. And if I want that width to be 300, what do I put the height so the image is not stretched? So I know that its original height is 1080. So then I divide it by that 6.4, and I should get 168.75. So if I'm gonna put at height 168 and the width at 300, definitely the image is now not stretched, and this is its original aspect ratio. So this is something to keep in mind, is that when you want to put the height and the width, is that you need to make a bit of calculations. So again, you just look here into its properties at its resolution and make that division using the calculator that's actually built into Windows and actually any operating system. And you want to make a bit of calculations just to see the way that the image has to be put. Now, of course, this is a little bit stretched on horizontally because it was just a bit larger than 168, but you don't really want to put decimals into this. I mean, it won't really have an effect, so you'd be better off with integers. So these are the basic attributes that you will use the most into your HTML document. There are a few more that you could use. Again, the style attribute and And one more thing to note on attributes is that you should use quotes. I mean, they might work without quotes. So if I'm going to show you this, they might work without quotes. You can see that, but I don't recommend you to. You can actually use single quotes and double quotes, and it should have the same effect. This is easily good to apply, for instance, in a paragraph. So if I put these single quotes and then I want to put double quotes inside the paragraph, if I go, why do I misclick so much on Edge? If I go here and refresh, you can see that now I can display the double quotes. Now, what if I want to display the single quotes? Now you can just put the single quotes and put the entire argument between double quotes, and this will fix the problem. So they can be used vice versa. If you want to display quotes inside the attribute, you can put the quotes exactly the way you want. But let's say I want to just display single quotes, but I'm not going to put quotes in my argument at all. What will happen? So what will happen is this. Basically, this is everything that will happen. So I strongly recommend you to always use quotes, any kind of quotes, single or double. You can use whatever you want, and depending on the case, just like here, if you want to put a certain word between quotes. Now, if you want to put it right here, and it's not an argument, you can do that just like this, and it will not have any negative effect. Again, single quotes, same story. It really does not matter over here, but if you want to put it into an attribute, I strongly recommend you to actually use any type of quotes. Now, there's no more time to discuss also tags in this episode, so we're going to discuss that in the next lesson. And with this, if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you want to see more of this, click that subscribe button, and don't forget to share this video. So, see you next time on HowToIT.